YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Heading into NFL Week 1. First game is actually tonight. We got bold predictions for Week 1 sent in by you guys through our Twitter. If you want to play along, we're doing this every single week, so make sure you follow that Twitter. It's on your screen, also linked down below. I grabbed quite a few from our Twitter posts. I made a post. You guys comment, reply with your bold prediction. Can't grab every one, but ones that caught my eye here. So let me show you how this works, actually. So I'm going to have a bold prediction from one of you guys pop up on the screen, and I'm going to decide, maybe it's happening. Maybe I get a little bold, think that bold prediction is actually going to happen. Maybe I call it realistic. Maybe I say it's warm. It's a little bit warm take there. It's a hot take, or it's just a piping hot take. Like, that's probably not going to happen. You're out of your damn mind. Get some of those sometimes. So, going to have some fun with this. We did this last year as well. So, again, follow our Twitter to play along. Here's our Twitter anyways. Here's that post I made. Yeah, I make this post probably before noon, around that range, every Thursday. You guys reply to it. Sometimes I don't see every single one. I just go through, see what catches my eye. Here's our Twitter. Picks League is going on there as well. You got to follow it there. Prizes, shout-outs involved in our weekly Pick'ems videos. So check it out. A lot of NFL news going on. Unfortunate injury news before we went to go record this. So we got bad or good. We got the updates there. But with the first one from Justin Miller, J Mill the Wizard, who's also Danny Cheese of the Goat House, Danny Provolone. So go give him a follow. He's got some takes sometimes. So make sure you give him a follow there. Multiple underdogs will win this week, causing their fans to overreact, thinking their team is going to win the Super Bowl, including myself, bear down. So yeah. He's a big Bears guy, also a huge Bama guy. So he doesn't know which is a bigger game for him, the Bears, Rams, or Dolphins and Patriots, or Mac Jones versus Tua. So, this is an easy one though. I mean, this is happening. It's happening. It happens every year. Sound like a broken record because I say it every year leading into Week 1. I said it a million times in this week's picks videos. Week 1's weird. Random things happen in Week 1. You can't really have predictions for the rest of the year just based off Week 1. Oh, my team actually looked good. That means we're going to be good. No, that's not how it works. So it's going to happen. Underdogs are going to win because Week 1's weird because there's not much of a game plan. Random things happen. You got to let the season unfold a little bit. Everyone knock the rust off. Collect some game film. So things happen. Underdogs will win, and fan bases will overreact. I have a lot of examples, but last year, Jaguars fans, after they beat the Jags beat the Colts Week 1, I got a lot of shit talk. A lot of it in the comments. Told you we're not bad. We're a better team than you thought. And they didn't win another game after that. So we know how that goes. No bad blood at all there, though. It just happens. I'm kind of used to it, but it's just going to happen. It's going to happen. So we'll see who those underdogs are. It doesn't really, you just got to feel good about your team going out there and getting a win. You feel good about that. Just don't be like, all right, we're doing this because of that, Again, go follow J Mill the Wizard. That is Danny, part of the Goat House. Next one from Jacob, going real bold. He says, Lions stun the 49ers. Jimmy struggles and DeAndre Swift scores 2 touchdowns. So there's a little bit in here. Usually I like the ones that kind of get straight to the point, and it's kind of 1 point. But I maybe a little biased when it comes to these because I kind of try to pick ones out that I think are bold, or part of it's a bold prediction that I'm kind of thinking, and that's that DeAndre Swift part. I talked about, I think in a score predictions video, that I think, that's kind of the guy to watch against the Niners. I'm not guaranteeing he goes off. Niners are a great defense. He could struggle, but if the Lions do put up a good fight, maybe they win the game. I think it's going to be because DeAndre Swift had himself a game mainly as a pass catcher. So I thought that was a unique one there. So you're basically saying the Lions are going to stun. I could see Jimmy struggling. I could see DeAndre Swift scoring 2 touchdowns. So for that part, it's realistic. And then for the Lions, stun the 49ers. I'm not going to say piping because it's Week 1. If it's Week 3, 4, maybe on, I'm going to say it's pretty piping. But Week 1, I'm still going to call it hot. I don't think it's going to happen, but can't say it's piping because it's Week 1. So again, I usually will take, as the season goes on, I usually take the ones that it's kind of just one take, not this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. So keep that in mind if you're trying to get on this video. But next up, Andrew Martin, Tyrod Taylor and Trevor Lawrence both will have at least 250 passing yards and 50 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So yeah, a lot has to it's crazy because a lot has to happen. You know, they both have to get 250 passing yards. They both got to rush for 50 yards, and they both got to get 3 touchdowns. Well, I'm guessing whether that's passing, rushing, it's doesn't matter. So it seems like it's pretty piping because a lot has to happen, but I don't really think it's that piping. You know, 250 passing yards. I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely going to get that. Tyrod's going to be close. 50 rushing yards. I could see them both getting that. You know, I think it's really up in the air if the Jags will allow Trevor Lawrence to run that much. You know, rookie quarterback, do you want him to get beat up? But he's a damn good and strong runner. So it's still pretty hot. You know, it's one of those where it's definitely hot. It may look piping, but I think it could happen. I think both quarterbacks are capable of these things. They can run in a touchdown, throw for 2. Maybe Tyrod runs in for 2, throws for 1. The opposite for Trevor Lawrence. A lot has to happen, though. It's definitely an interesting one because I can see both those quarterbacks are, not really considered dual threat, but in a way, you can't consider them that. I'm curious to see how much the Jags run Trevor Lawrence because he can run. He can run. It was this Jalen Green season. I should say. Trevor Lawrence gets sacked 4+ times and has 2+ turnovers. The Texans preseason defense carries over and puts pressure on the rook. Trevor Lawrence was getting pressured like crazy in preseason. Now we'll see, in regular season, full offensive line. We'll see if it's any different. I think the sacked 4+ time is pretty realistic. The Texans don't present too much of a pass rush. That on top of the 2+ turnovers, I think it's another one that's hot. It's definitely not piping because it's a rookie quarterback. Offensive line could be a little bad, especially in the first game here with this unit, new coaching staff. It's pretty hot though. I could see the 4+ sacks, but even that's kind of a little bold because the Texans do they have a lot of do they have the best pass rush? They don't. So these random guy stuff. It's week 1. Anything can happen. The 2 turnovers. I think Lawrence will be pretty careful with the ball. So it's pretty damn hot. I'm not going to call it piping, though. I won't call it piping. Next, from LSM, Logan Moreau, 7. Sam Darnold throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against his former team in a blowout of the Jets. I like this one. I like it. As you guys know, I'm not a huge Sam Darnold guy. You guys know that. I'm not a huge believer. Yes, I think he can be better. I just don't think he's the answer. I don't think he's very good. I think he's shown us enough to know that, again, he could be better than what he showed us for sure. But with that being said, I'm thinking this is. I'm actually gonna maybe get a little bold. I think this is happening. I think he's gonna throw for. It's gonna be close. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's gonna be in that range. I don't think it's too out there. 300 yards is like a lot. I definitely can see this happening. I've been saying this for a bit. The Panthers could be one of those teams that looks really good in the beginning. They could lose to the Jets, so I could be wrong there. They definitely could lose to the Jets. I picked them to win, but they're gonna play a lot of quick small ball. They're gonna throw the ball a ton. It's not gonna be for big chunk yards. They got guys that can run after the catch though very well. Whether it's McCaffrey or the receivers or even the tight ends. So I think it's going to add up. I think the Jets will put some pressure on them as well in terms of them scoring, so they'll have to keep scoring. So I think he'll have plenty of attempts. I think he's going to look good. And going back to Danny, the first one of this video, teams will overreact. I can see Darnold putting up the stat line, playing very good against his old team, and everyone's like, Darnold, that's that USC Darnold. This is that top pick guy. He's back. He's ready to go. He's good. They fixed him. And we're like, whoa, calm down. It's going to happen. Maybe not exactly Darnold. I'm kind of predicting it too, but it's going to happen to people there, players. So I'm actually going to say it's happening. Maybe that's bold to me, but that's what the video is all about here. We're getting bold all around sometimes. KSA, Kyle Pitts has a monster game, 100+ yards and a touchdown. I'm getting bold again. Let's do it again. I think it's happening. I picked the Eagles to win. It's a 50-50 game, week 1 game. Anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. I picked the Eagles to win, but again, I'm not like extremely confident on that or anything because it's a random week 1 close game. I feel like neither team's that prepared for some reason. I could be wrong, so we'll see who is more prepared. just because of the lack of reps in preseason. But even with that said, even if I think the Eagles win, I still think Kyle Pitts can do this. And I was saying, I think in the picks video, that the reason I would pick the Falcons, I think Kyle Pitts can be a problem in that game. They improved, the Eagles, that is, improved their defense. They'll be able to cover pretty well, better than they usually do. They'll be able to get pass rush. But who's going to be responsible for Kyle Pitts, whether he's outside, in the slot, or in line? Who's going to be responsible? Just a matchup problem. So I think he's going off. I'm starting in one of my fantasy leagues. I'm feeling pretty good. Hopefully it doesn't continue with the trend of the rookie tight ends, and then he just doesn't do it. If he was non-existent in that game, that would be. Can't base things off week one, but that would mainly be a problem with the Falcons because they let go of Julio, didn't get other receiver, because Kyle Pitts is kind of that receiver and the tight end at the same time. So if he didn't get much going at all, I wouldn't really be worried for Kyle Pitts. I'd just be worried for the Falcons offense, not having another receiver maybe, but would try not to overreact too much. Next up, Patrick Tibbetts. The Giants and the Broncos go old school as they put up a combined 9 points, and the Giants win 6-3. Yeah, I had 17-16 finals, so 1 point game, somewhat old school. And the older guys definitely got Old Yeller. Definitely has to like those old school defensive games. Those people are going to have to love this one. That's the prime time. This one should be the prime time game for them. But yeah, I can see this. I predicted low scoring defensive game, 2 real good defenses. I really think there'll be some good pass rush, mainly from the Broncos against Daniel Jones and that offensive line. At the same time, I do think that both teams could be effective here and there in terms of running the ball, but both teams have a collection of wide receivers despite having kind of mediocre quarterback play. And that maybe could cause problems. Maybe they'll go tempo. Teams seem to go tempo a lot, up-tempo early in the seasons, week one. Maybe that could cause some problems. So it's possible. Maybe you can argue that it won't be actually low scoring. I think it will, though. 6-3 is... I don't know where to put this one. It's definitely not piping because I could see it. Especially early, offenses seem to be the thing, that starts off slow and gets better, so that results in lower scoring games early in seasons. Mostly, there was actually some surprising shootouts last year, week one, if you remember. I'm trying to figure out where to put this one. I was gonna go warm, but I'm gonna go hot. Somebody's gonna score a touchdown. They just gotta. Next up, Holden Metzger. Daniel Jones gets sacked 4 times. Bradley Chubb might not play, so that's. I'm on the. We're going with a lot of these. Let's just do it. I think it's going to happen. I think that offensive line. If Bradley Chubb doesn't play, though, it's tough. It might be 3. My prediction might be. I'm trying to figure out where my prediction's at. We're going to keep it. I think it's going to be 3 or 4. If I was Vegas, I'd put that over-under at 3.5 in terms of the sacks, and it would cause real problems for people like me. So it's going to be close. Well, how wild would it be if they just didn't get him? If they just didn't get Daniel Jones, if they didn't sack Daniel Jones once, I'd say the Giants won the game, right? So that's interesting. That's why I like these. I'm just curious to see because we could see that surprise. What happens in the actual game that he doesn't get sacked once, maybe he gets sacked like 6 times. We've seen it before. He's got to hang on to the ball. So that's an interesting one there. Again, I'm setting the over/under at 3.5. I'm thinking it goes over. I'm thinking 4. Brady Hill, Seahawks pass rush shows up, sacking Wentz 4+ times. First glance, this looks like it's piping is doom because the Seahawks don't really have much of a pass rush, and the Colts have a great offensive line. But you start to think a little bit. It's not so piping because the Seahawks can blitz. Bobby Wagner was effective in the blitz last year. They got Dunlap full-time now. They got some young guys stepping up. Jamal Adams is real good getting after the quarterback. And then, Wentz is not too good under pressure. Sometimes he'll take a sack. A lot of the time he'll take a sack when it's not really the offensive line's fault. He'll hold on to the ball. So you got to think, a little more than just the Seahawks edge rushers versus the Colts offensive line. It's a lot more than that. So this, again, first glance seems piping. But I'm going to say I'm in warm and hot. It's in between there. We need something, I don't know what it would be, in between warm and hot. It's definitely hot. 4 is a lot. It's definitely pretty hot there. So I'm going to go there. But for the reasons I explained, it's maybe not as crazy as you may think, but not that I think it's going to happen. Aiden Weingartner, Carson Wentz will throw all over the Seahawks defense, passing for 350-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. Pittman will be on the receiving end of 2 of those. It's an interesting one. I'm not predicting this to happen. I picked the Seahawks to win. I know Danny picked the Colts to win. Danny, within the picks video, made a good point that, now Carson Wentz has a very good offensive line. A better coaching staff and system, play calling, all of that. And the Seahawks, don't really present crazy pass rush, even though, they can get it in different ways. But let's say they don't blitz a lot. Let's say, the Colts figure out a way to pick up Jamal Adams, or maybe they don't send Jamal Adams a lot. Wentz is protected with, Frank Reich leading the way. He could have a day. It's like we talked about earlier in this video. This is another one of those situations where I could see a scenario where Carson Wentz has a day, and everyone's like, okay, he's fixed. Colts made him better. He's back. It's MVP Carson Wentz. I could see that. Not so much as the Sam Darnold one, maybe, because I think the Colts fans know that. They lost to the Jags in Week 1 last year, so they know Week 1 can't take that serious. I think every team's had that experience. It's just where is it recent in their minds, So I don't know if there'll be too much overreaction with this one, but I could see it. I can see it happening. 350. It's still pretty hot. It's still pretty hot there. But I could see a scenario. I could see the scenario. Next up, Express Line Sports. Lamar Jackson will have 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns. So, right before recording this, we heard that Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters, but Gus Edwards goes down. So they lost him. They lost J.K. Dobbins. So that kind of affects this here. Lamar Jackson will have to do more on his own there. But will the Raiders just strictly game plan for Lamar Jackson running? That's the only thing we got to do here. Let the rest beat us. So it could open things up for Jackson, maybe more carries, but it could close things down because the Raiders are purely game planning for him. That's a lot of points. That's 20. It's 28 points on the board right there. When I put it that way, that's 28 points scored on the Raiders with just that. That looks on the hot side, the hotter side. But when you look at it just 2 for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, one of the best in football. 2 rush touchdowns, 2 pass touchdowns. That's pretty damn realistic. So it's weird. Realistic, warm. It's in that range. Here. I'm going to probably be more field goal. Yeah, specifics have to happen. So I'm going to stay on the warm side. There. It's going to be interesting to see how the Ravens react after these injuries. Next up, from Fennec, Titans and Cardinals will score up to 80 points total. All right. I think it's going to be a shootout too. But I think it's pretty piping. That'd be great. It'd be great. So we have our first piping one, right? Or we have another piping one. I can't remember already. But there's a piping one. I think it'll be a shootout, like I said, but there could be reason to argue that it won't because I think both teams could run the clock. Derrick Henry, then Kyler Murray running, Chase Edmonds, they could look to run the clock, but I think it should be a pretty high-scoring game. I think the Titans will have success passing and running, and then the Cardinals will find some success against a new-looking Titans defense. 80 points is pretty wild, though. I would love that, but it's 40 each, or you can do the math there. So that's pretty piping. But, I am expecting that maybe to be the shootout of the week, but week 1's random, so we'll see. Call me Capillotti. After 3 and outs, Justin Fields will enter the game. The crowd roars. I'm also going to say this is piping. I know everyone's thinking it, that it could happen here. Bench Andy Dalton, put Justin Fields in. I think it was that easy for them to do it, 3 series or 3 in a row, 3 and outs, whatever. I think they wouldn't have started Dalton in the first place. So I don't think it'll happen. Also, the crowd roars. I guess they probably would still. It's in L.A., so I was thinking if it was in Chicago, oh my God, it'd be crazy. But it's in L.A., but I guess there would be a lot of commotion there still. So I still think that's pretty piping. But everybody be watching Sunday night. We'll see what happens there with different look Bears team, with Justin Fields on the bench. And it's always going to be monitored. When's he going to come in? Every week we're going to be thinking. Ashley Wilkes, all AFC North teams to lose. First glance, I think 4 teams from a very talented division. all got to lose. That's got to be pretty piping. But then you think about it, you got the Browns are playing the Chiefs, and then you got the Bengals are playing the Vikings, the Steelers are playing the Bills, and the Ravens are playing the Raiders. They are all underdogs besides Ravens and Raiders. But right before we're going to record this, you got Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters is a huge piece of that defense goes down. So we'll see if all of a sudden the Ravens are underdogs. Probably not. Might be close, but maybe all of them are underdogs. I actually think that, at first glance looks piping. I actually think this is realistic. I still have to make a decision on if I want to switch my pick to the Raiders for the Ravens. But and Tyrann Mathieu might be out for the Chiefs, though, so that kind of gives the Browns another shot, another chance to win. Of course, the Bengals have a shot to beat the Vikings, even though they're underdogs. Steelers and the Bills, same thing. I think it's realistic that all can lose, though. It definitely could happen. One's bound to win, though, so if you're a betting man, definitely interesting to think about, though. Yeah, so unfortunate what's going on with the Ravens. Well, yeah, we'll see. That game's till Monday. All of us got till then to switch our picks in the Picks League there for that one before that game kicks off. That's definitely interesting. Yeah, because the big reason I picked the Ravens to beat the Raiders is because the Ravens' blitz game is so strong. They're able to blitz that much because their corners are locked down. They can play on an island man coverage, with limited safety help because they'll blitz the safeties too. But now Marcus Peters out. How much does that affect it? So it definitely affects the game plan, at least in my mind. So a lot of good bold takes here. Sorry if I didn't get to yours. There's a lot of people commenting. We are back every week with this. Make sure you follow Twitter to play along. A lot more going on there as well. So link down below, pin in the comments, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Join us for all of our in-season football content. Be much, much appreciated. Also appreciate you guys for being here watching this video. That's going to do it, though. Goodbye.